Hello. With the latest CP recalculations and increase in power, a lot of you will finally be able to push quite a bit in campaign, and as a result, many of you will reach the great wall that is at high deficit, Mother Whale. While my original Mother Whale video covers all the basics, this video is meant for the more hardcore pushers. Those that want to deal with Mother Whale efficiently in hard campaign or at very high deficits. Now, I will not be talking in depth about the mechanics. I already have a video covering that. If you want that in-depth coverage of the mechanics and all the basics, you can go watch my previous video. Now, I will do a brief reminder regardless. Each side port is a massive amount of HP damage with broken, anywhere between 80 to 90 HP bars per side port broken. Which means that if you take out 8 side ports, you will essentially kill Mother Whale. So, as a result, all teams will focus on priority damage, types of Nikkes, to use against those ports. So now, let's understand the assignment first. The core is very tanky. As such, the strategy of breaking the core is not viable when it comes to high CP deficits and in hard campaign in particular. It is a valid strategy, but not here. Why did I mention it in my Mother Whale guide for new players? Well, not everyone can do the no-core strategy due to a lack of Nikkes, and not everyone pushes high deficits, hence why I gave a very comprehensive guide to everything that there is to know there. At very high CP gaps in hard mode, Mother Whale can only be killed with one single strategy. Kill the side ports before Mother Whale inevitably kills you with her laser beams. The laser attack is at around 30 seconds left on the timer and is close to impossible to survive. So your objective is to kill Mother Whale before then. Now, killing the waves of Raptures is still absolutely necessary, though the methods to do so are a little bit different from what you would expect. Surviving the in and out Raptures is still a key, otherwise they will actually wipe you out this time around. There is no two ways around it. In normal, non-super high CP deficit, you can cover and pray. In very high CP deficits and hard campaign, you actually need to find a way to soak that damage one way or another. As such, there are two key strategies in this. There is what we call the Dora version, using Dorothy, and the Modernia version, using Modernia as your primary ways to deal with the waves of Raptures. Which you will pick will depend on your investments. For Dorothy to work, her damage needs to reach a certain threshold so it can one-shot the Raptures through a kind of odd damage situation that happens due to the Raptures X-hit mechanic interaction with her S2. There is a crownless version that I will mention, but most very high CP gap strategies will use a crown. Now, each version has subcategories using Maxwell, not using Maxwell, and the like, but I will just cover the main idea of the two core versions. To explain this, I will use my own clear, which uses the Dorothy version, and I will also use Yanni's clear, who very gracefully lent me a footage of his record clear using the Modernia version to cover the core tactics. As I mentioned, core priority damage is very important, which means that the optimal picks are essentially Alice, Red Hood, and Maxwell, as you want as much priority damage and or buffing. Now, on the opening, you want to burst as soon as possible to squeeze in all the damage you can, and then you have two options depending on how moldy you want to go. You can destroy the bombs, or you can iframe the bombs, or you can do a mix of both. To iframe all of the bombs, you can look at Yanni's video here. You have to essentially cover with all of your other Nikkes, pray to God that the bombs don't go to the Red Hood, for example, in this case, which is the B-tray that is going to be dealing damage with her burst, and do all the damage you need to do to the side ports. Once your burst is over, or rather when the second wave of bombs appears, you cover, in this case, with Red Hood, and you uncover with the other Nikkes, effectively iframing and keeping maximum uptime and damage. If you do not want to deal with the bomb RNG, you can use a mix of both, destroying one wave, iframing the other one, or destroying both waves, which is what I did in this case, as you can see. Some key things to keep in mind. You always want to kill the side ports from the top right. Try to cleave all 3 when possible. And then once you have killed the 2 on the top right, you will go to the 2 on the top left while also trying to cleave as much as possible the bottom one. The reason for this is that the bottom side ports, for whatever reason, are significantly tankier than the top ones. And the other reason as to why you start top right is because the side ports respawn from right to left, which gives you a lot of time to just kill as many side ports before they start respawning, and inevitably you lose damage because you didn't kill certain side ports before they got respawned so that you could kill them again. To break the bombs, you can also use something called pause tech. Pause tech essentially involves pausing the game, moving your cursor to the place you want to aim at, unpausing, shoot, and then pause again if needed, and repeat to kill things as accurately as possible, while essentially not having to deal with anything happening in that regard. Now, how you deal with the initial wave of Raptures will vary based on what composition you're running and which timeline you want to follow, but the timelines are going to be a little bit more for you to decide. You can use Privity Burst to... With the Dorothy route, you can use the Privity Burst to snapshot the first wave of ground Raptures, instantly killing them. You can also Doro Brand the Rapture and kill it before they get their invuln, effectively snapshotting again and killing them all. It will require a little bit of timing, but it is perfectly doable. And then the Dorothy S2 will one-shot the upcoming wave, and then the third wave you will just brand it or S2 it depending on the timeline you picked. The timeline means the timings of the Doro Burst to wipe the Raptures and how you want to deal with them. Now, some of you may wonder what snapshotting means. Snapshotting is a mechanic that abuses the fact that damage gets saved, kind of like a photograph or a picture or a snapshot, as the name implies. So the damage of your Nikke gets saved during the animation and gets applied to the Raptures. Now, what happens here is that the Raptures, when they receive the X amount of hits buff, they actually reduce their maximum HP to that number of hits, and they reduce the damage they take to 1 for every hit they receive, no matter how hard your Nikke strikes. With the snapshotting, what happens is that damage got saved and gets applied as is. So if the Rapture goes from 3000 HP to 100 hits, meaning 100 HP at 1 damage each, and you snapshotted thousands of damage, you're going to one-shot them no matter what happens. That is a strategy that was used during Material Age Solo Raid, because the Raptors had a similar mechanic to have maximum uptime on the boss. Now, the Modernia route, you burst with your core damage dealer first, and then you manually wave the clear the wave with Modernia, and then follow up with a Modernia burst, or technically vice versa. I would recommend going with manually clear first and then Modernia burst, but you can do it the other way around if needed be, depending on who your core main damage dealers are. In the case of Yanni, he had Maxwell, which allowed him to charge the Maxwell shot while he was clearing the ground Raptors using Modernia, and then shoot that shot on his next burst while having it buffed with Leader. Now, before the in and out Raptors come in, you need to manual crown. The reason why you want to manual crown before the in and out Raptors come in is to verify her stack count. This will make or break your run, period. There's no ifs or whats or whatever. This will make or break your run. What you need to do is precisely time 20 stacks so that she taunts the in and out Raptors and soaks all the damage with her invulnerability. So Crown has this little ability that every time she reaches 20 stacks, she heals herself, she taunts everything on the field, and she becomes immune for a few seconds. As a result, you will abuse this ability to negate the entire damage of the in and out Raptors without dying. Now, if you're using Nagatia, which is not a record clear anymore, but it is a technique that was used before Crown was released, well, Some of them may die, but it's a sacrifice we're willing to make. As a result, everyone 07 to Tia. You will taunt with Tia and get her killed intentionally, so that all of your other Nikkes live. It is better to let Tia get killed than your entire team getting wiped out, after all. Now, for the very severe CP gaps, you will notice that I'm not mentioning any other strategies. And as of the time of making this video, there is no other viable strategy. Either you go Negatia, which is a little bit higher CP than the Crown version, or you go the Crown version, which is what all the record clears are currently using. Now, once you're done soaking all of that damage, you go back to damage dealing the lower ports so that you can destroy them. And then you also want to cleave the newly respawned top ones while clearing the bottom ones. If you're done this correctly, you will kill some extra Raptures, and then you will kill the remaining side ports and essentially win before Mother Whale wipes you with the lasers. I hope this video will help all of you hard pushers that are finally reaching Mother Whale, and with that out of the way, Allyane out.